Welcome to stage 3, design. We will be making a design to transfer onto the lino. So I've got my paper here ready to draw my design. I've pre-drawn this square to save time, and I'm going to do quite a simple design, mainly because I want to show you the cutting, and if I make the design too complex it's going to take a long time. So I'm going to do a leaf, and I've just drawn my leaf shape. I've tried to fill my square pretty much. Leaves have veins, so I'm going to put in the veins, and then I'm going to come back with a Sharpie, and the wider Sharpie, because it actually creates a line which is very similar to the cut that you can make with the tools. So I tend to use a medium point Sharpie for this process. You can see I've darkened up the line, and the black in this design is what stays. All the white gets cut away. So if your line is too thin, then it's too difficult to cut. So it's why I'm using a medium point Sharpie. So I want the vein to be part of the design, and I take that right out to the edge. Now it's important to draw this because it actually avoids mistakes after. I never used to do this, and I did a workshop in Florence with an Italian master lino cutter, and he was really insistent that we did this step, and he's quite right. It prevents mistakes afterwards, and you can actually see how the graphics of this is working very well. So I just thicken up the lines a little bit. And the other thing about doing this on the paper is if you make a mistake, it's no big deal, you can do it again. But if you do this in the cutting process, then once you've made a mistake, it's there and you can't fix it. So I look at that and I think, okay, that'll work when I'm cutting it out. So now I will look at how to transfer this design onto my lino. So I'll just leave my design there and grab my lino. So I've got my design. I turn this over, and the Sharpies actually come through quite a lot, which doesn't always happen, but I transfer with my 2B lead pencil. I just basically colour in the whole back. And this is why it's important to use a 2B pencil, because you'll see in a moment that grey lead transfers onto the lino. And you need to cover the whole thing. And make sure you cover the lines especially, because you will then be going over the design with a biro. And the other thing you need to remember about this design is when you print, it will actually be facing the other way. So you need to pay attention to, if you want your print to go a certain way, that you reverse the image. So I have my penciled in, and now I'm going to put that onto my lino, and I grab my biro, and a biro works best because the point is sharp, and I'm going to trace over this design again. And I'm just doing the lines, I'm not doing the filling in just yet. I'm pressing quite hard because I really want to make sure that those lines get transferred. And then whilst I'm still holding the paper, I just check that it has actually transferred properly, and it has. So you can now see the images there. And then I'm back with my Sharpie. I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the paper and colour this in again, because in the cutting process, it's the black that stays and the grey gets cut away. And I try and make the lines exactly as they would be on the final lino cut. And again, that was from the advice of the Italian master printer. It just avoids mistakes in the long run, and it also means you don't get lost. And lino cut and design is all about positive, negative space. So I'm going to have quite a lot of negative space in this one. Normally when you print on paper, you're actually using the space differently because you want a lot of black coverage onto your paper. But with fabric, you don't want so much black coverage. You want the background fabric to come through. So I'm using a lot of negative space, which is a good thing to keep in mind when you're designing for fabric. Because these lines will give you lines to stitch along. And I'm really trying to thicken up these lines so that they will be the same as when I cut them, when I come to cutting them. And you'll see what I mean when I get to that stage, which is the next stage, stage 4, where we'll look at cutting.